All right, Nick, let's talk about the Los Angeles Chargers, a team that kind of quiet at the trade deadline. There wasn't a whole lot of action for the Chargers, but that is specifically because the Chargers made some moves early on this season that I think are really starting to pay off. We're going to dive into those in a minute, but first, I'm Andrew, and this is Saturday Morning Inspection. All right, Nick, as I alluded to, the Chargers had made some moves earlier this season, right, before the trade deadline, quiet. Earlier this season, they made some fantastic moves that I think are going to be huge for them going forward. Let's dive into the article, and we can talk more about this on the other side. This is from over on Empire Sports Media. It says, back in late August, the Chargers sent a 2026 seventh round pick to the Tennessee Titans in exchange for fourth-year defensive back Elijah Molden. The Titans drafted Molden in the third round of 2021 NFL draft, but he had struggled to emerge as a consistent contributor in their defensive lineup through the first 3 seasons of his career. Ortiz and the Chargers bought low on Molden, sending a late fourth-round draft pick to add the young safety corner who still had plenty of upside and potential to unlock. And so far this season, Ortiz and company are getting far more than what they paid for out of Molden, as he has had a breakout season to establish himself as the Bolts' top cover man through 8 games this season. Molden has racked up 34 combined tackles, 1 fumble recovery, 5 passes defended, and 3 interceptions. His 85.3 overall PFF grade ranks 5th in the NFL among 88 qualifying safeties. Nick, that's absolutely ridiculous. Great stat line, great overall grade, and a great steal by the Chargers to snag this guy away from Tennessee. I'm curious what your thoughts are on all of this, but Nick, before we get to you, Chargers fans, in the comment section below, we're talking about this guy, Elijah Molden. He comes to the team out of nowhere. He wasn't really anybody at Tennessee, but now he's on your squad and he's doing really great. Got to see him play for a few weeks. Let us know what you grade this move in the comment section below. Is this an A? Is it a home run? You got him for a bargain. He's amazing, which most likely is. Or do you not like it as much and you give it a lower grade, maybe C, D? Let us know why in the comment section below. But nonetheless, Nick, what do you think about this move for the Chargers?
Well, obviously, based on the data you brought up there, it's a huge win for the Chargers. I am honestly a huge fan of teams that buy from opposing teams. They acquire players from opposing teams that are in dumpster fire situations. So Bolden, obviously, he was a third-round draft choice. Obviously, had a lot of talent. But if you look at the Tennessee Titans the last 2 years, they were really struggled. 7-10 in 2022, 6-11 in 2023. They're even worse this year, right? So this was a franchise in the Tennessee Titans that was heading in the wrong direction. I love acquiring players from these kind of franchises because usually you can get a lot of great value because you really don't know how good or bad they really are. Are they an underperforming player, or are they just a player with a lot of potential stuck in a bad situation? Well, in this case, we know 100% this was a player with a lot of potential that was just stuck in a terrible situation. And I know a lot of people were waiting for the Chargers and a lot of other franchises to maybe make a big move or two during the trade deadline. And here's my belief on this. Only 2 types of teams make moves at trade deadlines in terms of big moves: the desperate and the teams that are tanking, right? Right now, the Chargers aren't desperate, right? When has a big move at the trade deadline in terms of giving up, getting a big-time veteran, getting a second or third-round pick to get someone huge? When is that ever catapulted and turned a season completely around for a team? I can only think of really once in my entire football viewing lifetime. I'm sure there's examples that I'm forgetting, but I only look at like the 2018 Dallas Cowboys when they traded for Amari Cooper. They went from bad, they ended up winning a playoff game that year, right? That's the only time, literally in 25 plus years, can I look at a team making a big aggressive move at the trade deadline, and they're glad they did. The only other teams that make moves then that work out are teams that are tanking. They're like, okay, we want to sell off players to get draft picks. You look at, of course, the New Orleans Saints this year. That's where they're at because their salary cap situation going forward is such a disaster, right? So they're basically saying, we're punting on 2025. 2024 is going bad. We're already giving up on 2025. We're focused way out in the future. Those are the only types of moves that will ever make sense in the long term for teams. And that's why the Chargers stood pat, because they already made the smart move. They already took advantage of the situation. You don't wait till the trade deadline to go out and improve their roster. It's like this myth with halftime adjustments. You're like, okay, the coaches go in to make some halftime adjustments. If you wait to halftime to make adjustments, you're usually going to lose. Coaches, at least the smart coaches, they make the adjustments after the first snap of the football game. The Chargers made their adjustments in terms of making moves to make their team better in August. That's what the smart teams do. They didn't need to make a big move at the trade deadline because they made probably the steal of the offseason earlier this year during August. This is just further proof that the Harbaugh-Ortiz era is going to be nothing but success for the Chargers going forward. They deserve a lot of credit. And look, if you look at the stats for this defense, it's ridiculously good. This is courtesy of Brett Coleman on X. He said the Chargers are only allowing 12.6 points per game. No team has done that since the 2006 Ravens, right? That's obviously a very, very long time. You can blame that on the quality of the opponent, but still, under 13 points a game, I don't care who you are. That's great defense, and it's because the Chargers built their roster to be that good, and they're coaching up too. Mike Minter was a great addition. This team is heading in 100% the right direction.
Yeah, and can you bring up 2006 Ravens? A lot of parallels there. Ortiz, Ravens guy, so able to bring in some pieces, have some guys come in that look just like that. Harbaugh, obviously his brother, Ravens head coach. They're both strong, defensive-minded guys, run heavy, ground and pound type guys. So, really interesting parallels there. This team is, under new leadership, off to a really great start. And I want to touch on a couple things because Molden, I love that they go out and you see something, and I'm talking about the parallels here because when Ortiz was at the Ravens, when he was in the scouting department, when he was helping draft all these players, one thing that they would prioritize in Baltimore is getting players that are undervalued. They would get early round safeties, early round tight ends, players that, who aren't necessarily like top 10, top 15 draft picks, but they would go after those type of guys. And then you'd see them, they'd get, late round interior defensive or interior offensive linemen, things like that. Just positions that you could get a really, really good bargain at, but no one really valued those positions that highly, and it's turned out really well for them. Flash forward, we're at the Chargers now. You go into this, it wasn't really offseason, right before the season, August. They go in, they look for a guy in Molden who is at a position that is undervalued, and he's a player that's undervalued, but you can look through all of that. You saw the potential. You knew this guy had a lot of potential. He's on a team that's in a really bad situation, and you capitalize on both of those. You get him for pennies on the dollar and bring him in, and now he's one of the top safeties in the league for his performance this year. And he started out really good right away as well through the first two games of the season this year. You look at Las Vegas, you look at Carolina, 82.9 defensive grade for him, 92.5 defensive grade there. So this is a guy that also fit right into your situation right away and was able to perform at an extremely high level as well. So hats off to the Chargers, Ortiz, Harbaugh, what they've brought to this team really early on. It's seeming very powerful, and I'm excited to see what they're able to do the rest of the season.